All right, Valentino, welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, before we kind of jump into some questions, just for the audience to know a little bit about us, how we connected. So we were together in a mastermind from Ben Neighbors. Shout out to Ben Neighbors, someone that I feel like helped us a lot back in 2019. We connected then, and since then we've tried to stay connected here and there. And Valentino is someone that has definitely transformed his business in an amazing way. So I wanna kudos to you, man, because I know we talked a lot in the past about different things, how to grow this soccer specific academy business. So that's how we connected. But before we get into that, I would love to hear a little bit about your story, about, I would like people, our audience, to know a little bit more about you. I saw, you grew playing in Italy in the youth academies there at the highest level. And then throughout your youth career or your soccer career per se, you faced few injuries here and there that affected kind of like your path. So I'm just wondering in what way those experiences shaped your confidence and the decision to do what you're doing right now.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me here. Yeah, we connected with Ben Neighbors, which was my first mentor for soccer, which helped me a lot to see differently how to approach the soccer business, and not just like a per session base and like, like building value and relationship with people and offering more than just sessions. But yeah, as far as my background, so I was playing in Italy I played for the Reggiana. I also play in the futsal Serie A too. And yeah, I tore my ACL. I was on, multiple trial with Parma, Inter, Modena, and but then I kept playing at a high level in Italy. And when I moved to the US, I also started playing in the UPSL, which we have here the medal of the championship in Northeast in New York and also in Florida. So play at a high level, but I wasn't, I was the player that everybody was talking about. But like sometimes in games, I was playing scared. So I was playing with no confidence, and I was really, really nervous before games. So that's how I started thinking about, when I started doing private training and coaching. And thanks to Ben also that it was like you gotta offer more, right? Not just a session, but like helping those kids in a personal level and with their confidence. And since I had that experience growing up of lack of confidence, I became super passionate about personal development and mindset and all this. So I started implementing it in my sessions with the kids. And that's how I saw that they were completely transforming after those mindset session.
Yeah, no, man, I'm very passionate about these things because, Magis, what we do, we're personal training academy and we define our like three pillars of our training methodologies, focus on technical aspects of the game. Every training session needs to be high intensity. But the third one is focus on the mindset and build a relationship with each kid, right? And I would say out of those three, that's the most important one for us. It's very important to me as well. I think I feel connected with what you said because I went through the same thing when I was playing college. I was always super confident, played at a high level, and then I got into my freshman year was amazing. I killed it. It was awesome. And then I faced a sports hernia my sophomore year and different situation with coaches, and that destroyed me mentally. Like it was tough. And so I'm just curious, like when you were in that period as a player that you had those feelings, like what made you had those feelings of fear? Like was it something specific? Was it because a specific situation that happened maybe with a coach, or it was just multiple scenarios that built up and made you have those feelings?
I would say multiple scenarios, and as what I experience right now with the kids, also as you go up in levels. So maybe you start recreational, and then you go academy, no, sorry, club team, and then you go to all the way to the academy, and you realize, wow, I'm not the best player anymore.
Yeah.
So as you go up in the level, that's what I maybe you have a high pressure, and then you have a demanding coach that yells at you every time you make a mistake. Then you start to get in your own head, and you start to stop believing in yourself, and you're like, wow, I'm not as good as I thought I was. Before I was crushing it, now it's just I see everybody's better than me. So I think it's the situation build up, especially when you change the environment, you change the coach, the competition becomes higher. That most kids, and me included at that time, I didn't know how to do it, how to overcome that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I remember you just mentioned something there that the word environment, and I think that's so important. Like I always was the guy that arrived earlier. Left I was the last one leaving, so I didn't understand why I was feeling like that. I didn't understand why I was feeling burned out. it was the first time I ever felt burnout. Like I don't believe in burnout now, of course, with experience, and I'm like, it's about environments, right? So if you put yourself in the right environment with the right people and you have these tools to know how to maneuver situations, that's when you avoid those things. So now when you're big into in your program, you talk a lot about growth mindset, right? Versus fixed mindset. And when you talk about mindset, what are you actually training to the kids? Like what are some of the behaviors or decisions that you're showing these kids so they can know how to manage those circumstances?
Yeah, good question. So basically, the over the years, the most common things that we see is players that are playing in fear. So they're scared of making a mistake. They're scared of getting yelled at, and then they also play. They hesitate. They play safe, and also some of them, once obviously you make a mistake and you start saying, "Oh, I suck. I'm not good enough." Like your negative self-talk. So basically, those are the three things that we identify that most kids struggle with, and then we basically teach them how to become a new person, right? A new identity that they need to practice every week. So the new identity, specific mental tools that we teach them how to be more aggressive, how to quickly forget mistakes, and how to be positive. We call the mental loop. And so every time they go to a practice, okay, now I have to implement this mentality. Whenever I make a mistake, I need to implement this mentality. And it becomes a practice, just like your first touch, just like your passing. The more repetition, the easier it gets. And then at some point, people are going to say, wait, Johnny is not scared anymore. Now he's going for it. Johnny is not shutting down after mistakes anymore. He's moving on. So they basically become a new person. They practice becoming a new person until they become a new person.
And how do you accomplish that? It's through, like, how can you change that behavior, right? Because I mean, the identity is right here, right? It's deep.
Yeah.
So what are some of those repetitions? He said phrases that they gotta tell themselves after something specific happens. He said as soon as they wake up, like, what are some of the key techniques that they can use to slowly with time change
Yeah.
that?
So in the first lesson, once we identify those things, we kind of break it down at what the body does when you're playing fear versus what the body does when you're playing confident and when you're going for it, right? So accepting the mistakes, but then those specific three, mental tools, the shark mentality, the goldfish mentality, the positive self-talk, and the mental loop is like, okay, so now I know that if I play scared, if I play safe, I will actually make more mistakes because my body shuts down, my body's weaker. So I don't want to do that. I rather, take the chance and take the risk. So they start slowly. Some they get it right away, some are not. They start to take the extra 1v1 in practice. They start to take the extra shot. And then they see that they actually can do it. Something clicks when they start doing things and they start messing up and they use the goldfish, they forget about it. They don't even realize that what they're doing probably. But it's just that, teaching them to practice those things, taking more risks, moving on from mistakes, and then they eventually do it, and then they realize they gain confidence by doing it.
Okay, so you're putting a name to those things, right? That's kind of what
Exactly.
I'm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, I love that because a lot of times we feel certain things, but if we don't name them, it's hard then to identify them. And by identify them, okay, that's awesome. I love
And
that.
and also because you said like identity is like deep. For example, the second lesson is all about beliefs. So after we teach them the mental tools, then we dive deep into their limiting beliefs. And oh, that's why you're scared of making mistakes because you believe this, right? So we change that. The reason why you're, hesitating is because of this. You have another limiting beliefs. Let's remove this. So that's why the third lesson, for example, is self-talk. So the first three lessons are like specifically designed to reshape their beliefs, to reshape their personality, and then their self-talk. That's why you see sometimes 2 weeks, 3 weeks, people are completely going from fear to captain of the team, from fear to like scoring goals, from vomiting before games to be like, I don't know what's going on. He's a completely different person now.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And now for the people that don't know, of course, you and I know, but how will you define a limiting belief for people that maybe they have limiting beliefs, but they don't know what it means? So how will you define a limiting belief for anybody listening to this?
Yeah, so a limiting belief is what you believe that is true, but is actually limiting you, right? So if you believe that you're not good enough at something, right, that might be a limiting belief. But since you believe it, whatever you tell yourself is true, right? So it's something that you don't think you can do, something that you don't believe you are capable of, that is actually limiting you and is actually making you believe that you can't do it.
And
So for
now,
example, if I say I am not good at 1v1s, right? Maybe you are good, but you believe that you're not good at 1v1s, what's going to happen? You're not going to take the 1v1. And if you do, you're going to your brain is going to be like, I can't do this. You missed the 1v1.
Yeah, and one of the things I've, read a lot and listened to is how, our brain main's job is to keep us safe. Literally, is to
Yes.
just keep us alive. So that's why sometimes we gotta play tricks with our brain. So what techniques or tools would you recommend for someone like that? Maybe the one that's having that limiting belief is it's your brain instead of you. So what things, how can someone break through that and actually go for it instead of just having that little thought in their brain, keeping them
Yeah.
safe?
So first is realizing, right? So everything that, the self-talk, for example, if you're doing negative self-talk, the first thing that you wanna how to change it is realize that you're doing it. So the same thing with the beliefs, right? If the first thing is realizing that those are limiting beliefs, it's not the truth, it's what you believe to be true. So in the exercise, when we explain the beliefs and what champions do differently than the normal people, then we say this is what limiting beliefs are, and your fears that you have that are holding you back are limiting beliefs. So let's list them. So the first thing is realizing and listing those limiting beliefs. And then it's like, is this true or is something that you believe? Right? Oh no, actually it's because I never take 1v1s. Right? Let's say they say, I'm not good at taking 1v1s. All right. So how many 1v1s did you take last week? Zero. Okay, so if you don't take
Yeah,
1v1, of course but if you start, the limiting belief is like, okay, if I start practicing more 1v1, if I take more 1v1s, I will eventually get better at it, right? If your limiting belief is I always forget people's name when I meet them. Okay. Are you actually focusing on the name? Are you repeating it in your mind? Are you using techniques to remember it? Or you're just using it as an excuse, right? I'm too fat to go to the gym, right? Like
yeah.
those are all things that you say to yourself and that are limiting you. So the first thing is realizing it and then realizing that is an excuse and changing it, right? Do different actions.
I love that. I love that. I mean, you put names to things, right? I mean, I think that's the main thing you're mentioning, and I love that because everybody has limiting beliefs. All of us have limiting beliefs. It's just a matter of properly identifying and understand that that's not what we are, right? That we're capable of so much more. And now you've worked with hundreds, maybe thousands now of players, helping them with their mindset. And if not in the thousands, I'm sure you'll get there this year. But what are some of the main reasons or causes that you're seeing that make kids experience those bad experiences, that make kids vomit before games? Is it, I mean, we talked about maybe the club environment or the coach. Is it the parents? Is it, what are some of the main things that you see that are the causes of these things happening?
So the first cause I would say is the competition that is, think about the MLS Next or ECNL. Those kids are 12 years old, 13 years old. They travel for 5 hours. They take a flight and they don't play. That's like for a kid, 12-year-old, it's like it's not easy to manage that. Or you might have a coach that it constantly, maybe it's a British coach, like they're very tough, or an Argentinian coach, those are, or Italian. But yeah, those are like yelling coach, very, very high demanding, and some kids cannot handle that. They take it personal. So I would say a mix of the coaches, a mix of the pressure, a mix of the parents. Some parents are doing two things. They're either destroying their child's confidence themselves by yelling at them, by telling everything that they do wrong, or they are just not doing the right things to help them with their confidence, right? They're doing the wrong things.
What are some of those things? Like, and I ask this because I believe that a lot of parents they simply don't know, right? Like they don't know what they don't know. And sometimes they can be doing things not with a bad intention, but they just don't know. So what are some of the things that some parents do that are affecting the confidence of their child? And then also what are some things they can do to support their child in their soccer career?
Yeah. So the number one is overcoaching. Like they say, I hear this a lot. Like his coach is not actually coaching, so I have to coach from the sideline. It's just doesn't make any sense. So overcoaching from the sideline, yeah, so yelling, and then at the end of the game is like, you should have scored that. Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Like without reinforcing anything, any effort that they've done, anything. It's just all negative, and then they're gonna obviously go down in the negativity. Also, I always talk about like therapists, like going to therapy when you speak with a doctor that have not had any experience playing at high level. That's why all of our coaches are sport performance coaches, but they also either play at a high level or coach at a high level. So they have to have experience in the game. Otherwise, you're gonna be at a talking, psychologist session for kids. They're not gonna be able to implement in the game. Also, I talk about like who actually does only private training alone Sometimes I say something about private training, but it's because not because I don't like private training. Private training is amazing and people should do it. But when you're trying to fix a confidence issue with just technical skills, then the technical skills are not going to show up in games. So I love that in your academy, you focus on the mindset and personal development because if there's a lot of private coaches, they just do technical skills. But unfortunately, if somebody's scared and they can't handle the pressure, technique alone will not solve that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fix, sorry, an easy fix, right? I mean, it's just like you're putting patches. So the water is falling apart, you're putting patches, but as the kids develop, the water tank gets bigger, more water gets in there, water falls again, right? So yeah, I mean, mindset is everything. At the end of the day, that's the core, that's the core principles. But I love that. And it's so important to me for parents to pay attention to these things because again the amount of parents that I listen to that I hear that they think they know but they have no clue because either they haven't played soccer or they never didn't even play a sport. And the thing is sometimes, and I will say, I like to think the best of people. Most of the time, I'll say it comes from a good place, but it's because they just don't know. So I think it's so important that they know these things. I got this from Jesse Itzler, who I'm sure you know, and he's big into praise effort. Always praise effort more than anything instead of like a result, right? So I will say that to the parents, like every time a kid just leaves the game, just praise the effort, even if they had a bad game, but they gave it all, just praise the effort. That should be the number one thing. What are your thoughts on visualization? Is that something that you apply in the program that you run with the kids you work with? How does visualization can help kids in their development?
Yeah, visualization is the second part of the program, which is the first one is the kind of like transformation and then goal setting. The second part of the program is all about the pre-game routines or actually good habits that you can have. But yeah, visualization, we do a full session on that and also creating a script before games. So meaning like how exactly you want to play today. Do you want to play scared or hesitant or do you want to play aggressive, fearless and going all in and say, repeating out loud like and reading a script, right? Like you have a sales script, you have you're doing a movie, you have a script. So the same script that you want to write down for yourself before the games, and then you visualize also you playing at the like that, and not only visualizing your good things, your positive things, but visualizing yourself making that mistake and being like, okay, no worries, move on, let's go, right? So visualizing yourself making that mistakes because believe it or not, you will make that mistake, and but if you see it yourself making a mistake or missing a goal and moving on from it, then you can do the same in the game. So yeah, it's very important visualization, and I believe a lot in quantum physics and like visualizing, attracting, and so yeah, I try to instill that on the kids as well.
So you like Joe Dispenza probably. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
It's,
like it.
that guy he's awesome. Okay, I love that. And do you also teach kids meditation? Is that something that you personally practice? I would love to learn that. But also, is that something that you teach to the kids? And if so, how could they apply it? And what's the benefits of meditation?
Yeah, meditation is something that I've been doing for since 2015. I should, recently I've not been like super consistent as I wanted. But yeah, I've been doing it for a while, and it helped me a lot with the stress and anxiety, and also more connection in the brain. And but yeah, I teach them how to breathe, like, but not really like fully a meditation session. So just yeah, in one of the sessions, like teaching how to breathe properly in the game, but not like we don't have a full meditation. It's more in the continuation program. We have an elite program for people that continue, and in that there's a lesson on gratitude, meditation. But in the normal program, we don't teach it. It's like next level.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. And where do you see the soccer landscape right now in terms of mindset? Like, where do you see it going? Like, do you see like a lot of kids struggling with that? Do you see that there's a path where people are being a little more conscious about this? What are your thoughts based on everything going on with soccer? We keep adding more and more leagues, more and more teams. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's becoming way more competitive, and I believe after this summer World Cup, it's going to be the number one most popular sport in the US. I think more than football right now. As you know, as far as young kids, they all play soccer, right now, more than football and baseball. But yeah, it's going to, and obviously the pressure, like you said, there's going to be more leagues, so the pressure is going to be high. And already there's like most of the kids are actually struggling with this. A lot of parents don't know, and they just do more technical training. They try to do different things. They're scrambling around. But I think now, like, it's gonna catch up soon. I mean, I already see. I posted the other day on Coach App, the private training app. Now there's mindset coaches. Like 3 years ago, there was not.
Wow.
So, and I also see one of the other mentorship program that I joined right now. A lot of after me, a lot of sports coaches are becoming mindset coaches as well, and they, baseball coaches, basketball coaches. So they're asking me like, "How do you do it? Or what do you teach?" And then they're all trying to become, riding that. I wouldn't say a wave, but like, yeah, it's kind of like a new wave of coaching. People are realizing that technical and physical is what we used to do, and we should continue to do. But if the mindset is not addressed, the confidence is not addressed, then everything else doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, that's it's amazing news, you know. I love to hear that because again, like we talked about, mindset is everything, and your core principles, your identity, your values, your beliefs. If that gets changed and that gets addressed, that's when you see a drastic change in someone. And
Yeah.
now you've talked by pieces into kind of like your program. I would love to hear, like, they say, if there's a family that a kid struggling with this and they want to, get started, but they want to know the ins and outs, like how does it work? What's the process? Like, if you could go over the process from step one all the way to the last step, how would that look like?
Yeah, so the first is identify their fears, and when we get on a call with parents, a lot of them we discard them, and we don't accept in the program if they are either too young, or the kids doesn't want to do it, or that they say they struggle with something that we can actually help, because everybody that goes through the program and does the work sees the results. So we want to make sure that we only bring the people that we know we can help. Like I said, for first 4 weeks is implementing mental tools, teaching them about the growth mindset, limiting beliefs, empowering beliefs, and then self-talk, goal setting. And then they have the second part of the program is the implementation of more habits and life skills like visualization, the affirmation script before games, learning how to breathe properly. We teach them how to fail, like the failure lesson. And then there's going to be like a little nutrition and game analysis. But we don't analyze their game, but we teach them how to analyze the players in, watching games, not just to watch the game, but also to learn from the game. And then at the end, we test their accountability in the last 4 weeks to complete the 90 days. They get put into a group where they can challenge other kids. Right now, we have a MLS challenge, so there's like 50 plus people that are challenging each other. And the most accountable players, are the top four, get to the Champions League. So it's a fun way for them to keep doing the work. Keep doing
Yeah.
the work. Ultimately, if you do the work for the first 90 days and you continue doing it, we have seen those kids are coming back a year or two later saying like, "Hey, coach, I just want to let you know I became a captain. I got, I now in the top team in the nation, whatever, because they continue doing the work."
And you mentioned that you also have like an elite program, so it's like for only for the players that complete the core program, is that correct?
Yes.
And what does
And
it look like?
that's bi-weekly coaching calls. So every other week, there's 12 lessons and 12 check-ins. So 24 session in total. But it's more about personal development. So we teach them emotional mastery, learning how to learn, the meditation, journaling. We teach them how, personal finance, a lot of the things that they don't teach in school. And the kids, the sooner they know, the better. That program is more for like 12 and up. Like
Okay.
obviously you don't want to talk. Those are hard lessons for a 8-year-old.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
But then we recently also launched camps. So we're gonna have our first international camp in Madrid, where I would say the first camp, international camp with mindset and skills. And then there's tours of the stadium. So we're opening up this week the registration, early bird discounts. But yeah, so the camps is another thing, like doing in person. I know we're big on online, but I think if you start doing in person, combining the technical skills and camps with also the mindset, that's where, you something different and something that actually helps the kids.
For sure. That's awesome. I mean, it sounds like a very, very complete program. I mean, someone starts from the beginning all the way past the lead program. I mean, even personal finance. I think that's great. And now if someone wanted to get started into this, what do they need to do?
They can, there's a few ways, they can either reach out on the Instagram, the Lorenzo Soccer Mindset, and they can, have a conversation, and we can ask you a couple of questions just to see if, to get on a call, or they can book the call directly through the website. So the lorenzosoccermindset.com. And yeah, we work with players that are high level. Sometimes they're not playing at the highest level, but that they want to get better and they're struggling with some fears, some limiting beliefs, and as long as the player is coachable, is committed, then that's where we see the results.
Sounds good. Perfect. Well, Valentino, to close in here, if you could leave three lessons to anybody listening that those three lessons will stay with them to help them with their mindset, what would those be?
For anybody, like parents or like kids or in general?
Anybody.
I would say, the hardest thing is to believe in yourself, and sometimes we have to remind ourselves that the things that we accomplish and the things that we have done. So we take it for granted that we keep growing, and we don't think that we are good enough. So like acknowledging your wins, and then also always be willing to fail and to take risks. That's what we teach you in the program. If you don't take any risks, you're never going to get anywhere. So, and, failure is just the feedback. And then also like something that I continuously have to work is how you communicate with yourself, the self-talk. That's the biggest thing, because if you start talking to yourself negatively, it's going to affect everything. So those are the top three things that I would say that somebody could do to improve their confidence.
Love that. Well, Valentino, man, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here. A lot of good nuggets that you just share for people to take and use them in their soccer career, and also for the parents. Anybody listening, please give Valentino a follow. He's been doing an amazing job for the last few years, and I'm sure he's going to continue going bigger and higher. So thanks so much for being here, Valentino. Talk soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hector.
Bye.